Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that will teach, motivate, and inspire you to stop at nothing to fulfill your dreams. Today, I am joined by two very special guests. They are Don and Hutch. They are straight out of Australia. In the year 2018, they went on a bike ride together as they normally do, but all of a sudden, Hutch had a sudden cardiac arrest, which only 9% of people survive, so he is very lucky. Hutch was dead for 18 minutes, and it took the help of Don as well as other bystanders to help him survive before medics arrived. They have a 60-second clip of the call to emergency services, so I'm going to play that for you right now before we get into the interview.
Ambulance emergency, what town or suburb?
Hello, Eleanor Road and Gift Creek Reserve Park. Yes, hold on, I think he might stop breathing.
Okay. Is he awake? Stay with me. Is he awake?
Yes. No, he's not.
He's not. No, is he breathing?
No, he's not.
Stay with me. Okay. All right. Now I'm organising some help. Stay with me. Okay. Yep. Okay. Now, is there a defibrillator available?
No, there's not.
There's not. Okay.
No.
Now, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do resuscitation. Okay? Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the centre of the chest, right between the nipples. Now place your other hand on top of that hand. Now pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second and 5 centimetres deep. Okay? Until help can take over. Now count out loud and I'll count with you, okay? And let me know when the ambulance is with you.
I can hear it.
Okay? Now if someone can keep an eye out for it and wave them over.
Yes, they are. They are.
Thank you for that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you're doing a good job there. Keep going and don't stop until they take over, okay?
Okay, Hutch.
Now, the paramedics with you?
Paramedics with you, yeah.
Okay, look, I'll let you go to speak to them. All the best. Thank you.
Hutch is very glad to have a second chance at life. Because of this experience, Don and Hutch have founded CPRfriendly.org to help people become more aware to try and help save lives. Because remember, only 9% of people survive sudden cardiac arrest. Don and Hutch, thank you so much for joining me today.
No worries, Curtis. We're really happy to be here and speaking to your listeners today.
And this is Hutch. I'm glad to be here as well, and glad to be alive, actually. So thanks to Don, who he now insists I call him my hero.
And in actual fact, we only ever refer to Hutch now as the survivor.
Slave.
No, you're not my slave. No, you're not my slave.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with Don first.
Sure.
Don, when you guys went on this bike ride, how did you know, or when did you kind of realize that Hutch was having a problem? And what did you think when you noticed that that was an issue?
Well, we ride around quite a large lake, and we'd done our second lap around the lake. We're just almost finishing up, and there was the only sign I got that something was wrong is Hutch was able to just yell out my name. He was behind me at the time, and I turned around just in time to see him. He would have only been about 3 meters behind me, slumped over his handlebars, and the bike just careering off sort of into the bush. There was no indication at all, which is very normal for sudden cardiac arrests being an electrical issue. You get very few signs or symptoms coming on. It just happens. So there was very little indication, went straight back, and he was pretty much out cold on the side of the track. Luckily for us, a couple of other joggers, ladies who were walking on the track that day came along, Caroline and Anne. We used their phone to call 911, of course, in the States, with 000 here in Australia. And then a jogger stopped as well by the name of Tim. And it was obvious very, very quickly that something serious was at play. Luckily, Tim, the jogger, had just done a CPR refresher course. So he jumped in straight away and started giving cardiac compressions, which unfortunately meant that I drew the short straw and I had to give Hutch mouth to mouth.
You loved it. You loved it.
It was a horrendous experience because I very quickly realized within about 2 breaths that Hutch had obviously eaten garlic bread or some sort of curry or something the night before. I'll never get that taste out of my mouth.
Curtis, I don't remember anything. I woke up the next morning. They'd put me in an induced coma, and I did wake up with quite a bit of pash rash, though.
Okay, I apologise. I did not have time to shave.
Donnie's wife assures me he's a very good kisser. So, well, look, we joke about it, but we think people learn and understand better if with a bit of humour, and it's also our way of dealing with the trauma as well.
I understand. Don, when you found out that Hutch was not breathing, what did you think?
First of all, I was unsure if we should move him, to be honest, because I thought, he's just taken this big fall off the bike, and I didn't want to do any more damage if there was other injuries. But the thoughts running through my head very quickly was, okay, we've got to get an ambulance straight away. You've got to get paramedics here. This is far worse than just being unconscious or falling off the bike. There were very little signs of life.
Well, when you were doing the CPR, how much experience had you had before this thing happened, and were you confident that you would be able to do exactly what you needed to do to help save Hutch?
Yeah, well, Curtis, it was actually only in that moment that I realised I hadn't done any CPR training for more than 25 years, and so to be totally honest, I felt I didn't have much confidence at all. I was very thankful that Tim, the jogger who stopped to lend a hand, had done a course, and of course, the other fantastic part of it is that the 911 000 operators are so well trained, and they really talk you through the procedure and what you have to do to help save a person's life.
Coach you through it, and I think this is the thing that neither of us had done CPR training for a couple of decades, and because we just think, well, we're fit and healthy guys, it's not going to happen to us.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, the stats are quite amazing. How many people? It's something like in the States, something like 1,000 people per day have a sudden cardiac arrest, and it can just come on in seconds. It doesn't matter how fit and healthy you are, because a cardiac arrest is an electrical issue of the heart, and 70% of people don't feel confident to do CPR. So that's why we started CPRfriendly.org, to try and give people some more confidence and skills, but in a more fun and lighthearted way.
Not only that, for you being clinically dead for so long, Hutch, Don, I got to ask you, did you think you had lost him? Because most people don't make it, I think, after 5 minutes. So did you think he was gone after being dead for so long?
Yeah, I think at the time when it happened, I got incredibly focused, because I think I realized very quickly that it was a life or death situation. So I tried to stay as calm as I could. I don't know if that sounded like I was calm on the triple O call, but I tried to.
Don's got a performance and acting background, so he can basically fake anything. He pretty much, to me, it sounded like he was pretty calm and collected, and he's also the type of guy who, you could bet your house on that he's going to be diligent and do whatever he can. I think the good news is we didn't then know what the stats were.
No.
And luckily, probably.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the real time, the gravity of what had happened to Hutch hit me wasn't until the paramedics had shocked Hutch with a defibrillator a couple of times to get him into some sort of steady heart rhythm again, to then transport him to the ambulance. It was only as they were, just before they were starting to wheel him away, that the weight and gravity of what had happened to me really came to me, because there was definitely a point there when they were working on him. I looked down and there was no life there. Yeah,
I was probably looking pretty shabby.
You were not looking very healthy at all.
Yeah. In fact, the policewoman, when she saw me a few months later, said she didn't recognise me from then to me actually being normal.
I think her words were, "He looks so alive," which must have meant he must have looked so dead.
And she did tell us that I'm in her 22 years of policing, I'm the deadest person she's ever seen.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty lucky to be here.
When I think back, I think the police that were on scene, the way they started to cordon off with tape and stuff was fun.
They cordon off with tape?
They were cordoning off with tape.
That was a murder scene. They
so
suspected you.
No. Which maybe was an even stronger indication they thought that you had passed.
Oh, no, that's not a good look. That's first I've heard of that, Curtis.
Well, I tell you, being dead for 18, 19 minutes, I would say too, but you definitely pull through and beat the odds that only 9% of people do. So let's talk about Don and Hutch. You can answer this too. What is one of the key qualities to know that you've done the CPR right? How do you know that you've got it right besides the person surviving the actual event?
Well, I don't think Donnie would probably answer the question. He didn't know, and that was one of the things that plagued him that night. Do you want to talk about that? Actually?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all you can do, Curtis, is have a go. I suppose that was the one thing. At least I just had the confidence to realize the gravity of the situation and do whatever I can. Unfortunately, I think, like you mentioned, or Hutch, that 80% of bystanders in these sorts of emergency situations say they feel unconfident and don't know what to do, and so they won't jump in. But the motto that we live by, and we didn't know this before, that is that any attempt at resuscitation is better than no attempt at all, regardless of your skill level or your confidence levels, because as is proof in our case, and in many cases, it can make a dramatic effect to the outcome. Unfortunately, it's proven that every minute of inaction in these situations decreases survivability by 10%. So within 5 minutes,
50% chance.
50% chance. Yeah.
And particularly if you don't have a defib after. I mean, I think the things in my favour were there was a few people who opted in to help, and Tim had just done his CPR course to get the 911 operators on the line as quickly as possible on speakerphone gives you real peace of mind, I think, because they will coach you through the process. So they were amazing. We've listened to the whole call back, and they're just amazing. So partly back to your question, how do you know you've done good CPR? Well, first of all, it's ringing 911 to make sure that you've got someone there as support. Hopefully there's other people around you that can help, because doing the actual compressions can be very exhausting after a couple of minutes. Doing the compressions at a beat of about 120 beats per minute, which is reasonable, which is quite quick, and about a third of the depth of the chest, and recoiling. So basically the compressions are purely just to keep oxygenated blood to the brain, and that's all they did. They were sustaining life until the basic step number 3, a defibrillator arrived. There wasn't paramedics. Yeah, there wasn't one handy. So you've got to ring 911, you've got to do your compressions, and you have to try and get a defib as quickly as possible. The compressions and the breaths purely maintain life till the defibrillator arrives, and that's the thing that reboots the heart in a sudden cardiac arrest situation. And keep in mind, the sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical issue of the heart. It can be a freak electrical issue of the heart, like in my case, whereas a heart attack is a plumbing issue. You know, people get sweats or pain in their chest, and it might happen over 10 minutes to an hour.
Because the heart's got a
blockage.
Yeah, a blockage supplying the oxygenated blood to the actual muscle of the heart, and so it starts to labour. Starts to rise. Whereas
a sudden cardiac is a freak electrical issue. You basically black out in a matter of seconds, which is what happened to me. Yeah. So the 3 steps, the basic 3 steps. I mean, there's an acronym called Doctors ABCD, which we teach, and people can go onto cprfriendly.org and actually go through that process for free. But the basic steps are ring emergency services on 911, do the compressions, and get a defib as quickly as possible. That's good basic CPR.
Yeah.
Another key quality that you guys talked about is Don actually broke Hutch's ribs. So talk about that and how you felt when you realized that happened. And why
You've been
is
doing
that
a
a
bit of
good?
research.
Now, Curtis, that is a bone of contention.
Why is that a good quality?
I unequivocally deny that I broke his ribs.
You would not know. You would not know.
It was the paramedics. When you see them do CPR compared to us, it was quite far more physical than what I was doing.
Oh, yeah, because Don had already broken them. There's no way. There's no evidence to suggest that the paramedics did it. So look. In 40% of occasions, you will break ribs if you're doing good quality CPR because you're compressing deep enough and hard enough. So I'm very thankful that my ribs were broken because it's a good sign that CPR was done properly. Yeah. Although it did take 6 to 12 months for them to get better. And I couldn't laugh too much because it was very painful having broken ribs.
Well, I'm pretty sure broken ribs are pretty painful. I'm glad I've never had that issue. So you guys seem to be real close. With this interview, you guys are in sync. You definitely seem to know what you're doing. What is the secret to your friendship and how long have you actually been knowing each other?
Wow. Well, this incident, Curtis, absolutely, as you can imagine, has brought us even closer.
Donnie's gone from my number 7th friend to my number 2 friend.
How come?
No, it's all right. We've known each other probably, was it over 20 years?
Yeah. Easy over 20 years.
Yeah.
We'd worked together, socialized a lot together in the same social circles and stuff like that.
And the good thing is that now, because of this incident and us co-founding CPRfriendly.org, it's allowed us to together create much higher purpose and try and help save more lives and try and change the statistics. Because I feel like I'm very lucky on extended time. And we want to try and give others extended time as well.
Yeah, I think I think that's a really important point, Hutch, is that from this, we suffer more from post-traumatic growth rather than trauma.
We suffer.
Well, we don't suffer, but we've been motivated greatly because of how lucky we feel. Hutch, like you said, is now on new time. And me, that I didn't lose a friend. I can't imagine, the outcome could have been very different. And I feel incredibly lucky that Hutch is still with us. So
I'm pretty chuffed as well, Curtis. Just to add in there, yeah. Look, I think also, we have a mutual respect for each other, and we use a lot of humour in our day-to-days, and we try and up the ante on each other, and I think we try and bring that through as a. How we teach CPR nowadays, and you'll see online some of the videos we've done are really fun, and the free webinars we have there for anyone can watch. We do that in a fun way because there's a lot of serious training out there. And my background's in training, and Donnie's background's in entertainment. So put these two together, and we try and make the learning fun and engaging for people so that they will watch it and they will learn and hopefully ultimately save more lives.
Yeah.
Well, let's flip over to you, Hutch, because you're the one that actually went through the experience. What do you remember the experience? Do you remember passing out or remember feeling bad before? What do you remember, if anything, of the experience?
I get asked that a lot. It's look, I remember the morning going to the bike ride. I don't remember anything about the bike ride. I don't remember anything probably for about 3 or 4 days after. And I think that's partly because I don't know whether it's the brain blocking out any trauma, or it's actually the drugs. Because they put me into an induced coma. They had me on an ice bed to shut down all the external peripheral, organs, and just so that the brain and the heart and the basics could really focus on doing their job. I luckily popped out of a coma the next morning, which is a godsend to my partner, Katie, who obviously didn't get much sleep that night, not knowing if I was going to be dead or brain damaged or whatnot. And Donnie, obviously, not knowing if he'd done enough to get me through.
If I'd broken enough ribs.
Yeah. So slowly over a few days, my memory started coming back. But apparently it's normal that your brain goes into a loop. And I was constantly every couple of... Donnie probably tell the story better.
Yeah. When I mean, it was fantastic
because I don't remember anything. Basically, is the short answer.
I mean, when he first came back to consciousness, he was on this. It was originally probably not even a 30-second loop where he'd say, "What happened?" And then we'd all say, "Oh, look, we were bike riding and you've had an accident. They're not sure exactly what happened, but you've blacked out and it's pretty serious." And he'd go, "Really?" Then he'd say again, "What happened?"
Oh, look, I'm a curious guy, Curtis. I like to get to the bottom of things.
And he just kept repeating
never-ending
this.
Improvement. Yeah.
And then eventually we just started making up responses. "What happened?"
Donnie,
you owe me money. You owe me money. We got in a fight and I knocked you out. Really? What happened? Yeah. Katie's left you for me. Your partner's left you for me, and you wanted to fight me over it. Really?
Apparently, I kept introducing Donnie to Katie all the time, and they've known each other for years. But I'm just a polite guy.
He was even introducing me to my own wife of 25 years. So it was very interesting.
And apparently, Curtis, I still owe him money.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you get that money paid pretty soon so it doesn't happen again. So, Hutch, do you have any permanent damage from this incident, or have you made a complete recovery?
Remarkably not.
He's not as funny as he used to be.
I don't think I've got any brain damage, but I can't be. No, look, I unbelievably feel very, very normal. I still need to get my heart checked every 6 to 12 months with updates. I do have a what's called an ICD, an internal defibrillator, embedded in my chest, which is it's like a pacemaker plus a heart starter if anything like this happens again, and it was a freak electrical issue. So, and I'm on some medication just to make sure things have sort of settled down. They don't really know what caused it because with an electrical issue, it's hard to work out because it just happens in a matter of seconds, whereas a heart attack, you can usually see the blocking of the arteries, so it's more a mechanical issue. So
did they do some tests to see if it was genetic or no?
Yeah. I had my blood sent to South Korea, and they measured 500 different markers, and they couldn't find anything. That doesn't mean there isn't anything. It just means they don't know the marker yet. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, did you know that you had a heart condition before this issue, or is this just something?
No, I was being very diligent, and I was getting. This happened when I was 55.
You just done your big cycle trip?
Yeah, I just cycled from Amsterdam to Paris on a bike with another mate, and
his number 3 mate.
My number 2 mate, and the. So just came back, been back for a couple of months, and then we were just going on pretty much a garden variety, very, very vanilla bike ride, and boom, this happened. So I haven't got any background as far as I know of any heart disease or any heart problems. In fact, I had been getting my heart checked every year and scanned just for diligence. And boom, this happened. So this is the thing with a electrical sudden cardiac arrest, it can happen to anyone. So this is why knowing CPR is so important.
Speaking of knowing CPR, let's take some time to talk about CPRfriendly.org. Tell people what they can expect when they go on and all the things that the site entails. Basically, let us know what we can expect when we go to the website.
Yeah, look, it's really just a fun and friendly approach to CPR. There was only reason people get CPR training is if they've had a personally relevant experience with a family or friend member and they go, gee, I need to get some CPR training, or they have to be certified like police, firemen, personal trainers.
For their job, yeah.
For their job. So other people typically don't. bother about it because they go, it's not going to happen to me. So we say, look, if you don't have time to get certified, but at least get CPR friendly, know the basics, and then you can learn it in a matter of minutes. So you can go into CPR friendly. We've got a training video there to train people up in 5 seconds.
It's under the resources tab. Yeah,
it's under the learning tab.
Yeah.
You can learn CPR basics in 5 seconds, in 15 seconds, in 3 minutes, in 10 minutes, or you can do a free 45-minute webinar where we go through our whole story and the doctor's ABCD. But really, depending how much time you've got or how serious you are, you can just dive in anywhere you like. We also have a resources section there where you can go on and download the doctor's ABC worksheet. You can get some access to some really great apps. You can also run your own CPR friendly event if you want to.
Yeah, which is what we did, which kicked the whole thing off for CPR friendly. After our incident and Hutch had recovered, we just realised how important it was that, especially just our own family, friends and loved ones knew this information. So the first thing we did is run a CPR barbecue at my place, and we invited them over with a CPR trainer in.
About 60 people.
60 people. And the next thing you did a street party.
And then we did a CPR friendly street party in my street. We invited all the neighbours. We got someone from the local surf club up to run a quick session. And after they understand the importance of CPR training, they then understood the importance of defibrillator. So then a whole bunch of the neighbours chipped in $50, $100, and we basically did a fundraiser, and we've now got a defibrillator in our own street. So it's on a garage wall of one of the houses in the middle of the street. So people, within a couple of minutes, they can quickly get the defibrillator. And then we've just multiplied this out to other streets, households, suburbs, clubs, associations. I mean, we're doing a retirement village next week where we come in and we train them for free. And the only way we get our funding is if we do a corporate event, and we'll charge them and then give them a webinar for free, and they can give it to all their participants as well.
And the great thing is, on the website under resources, we have the free resource kits. If if any of your listeners want to do their own barbecue or their own street party and raise money, there's lots of stuff there that we've got to help you organise those things yourself in your location.
So it's all about getting people CPR friendly and trying to get more public access defibrillators out there in the community.
And it's proven, isn't it? It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. The stats can change. And if you look at, the world record holder for survival rates is actually the Seattle area in the States. It's something like 62% of people survive a sudden cardiac arrest there, because about 76% of people in that area are CPR aware and friendly, and there's more public access to defibrillators. So if they can do it, why can't we do this in communities all around the country?
Do you guys have any upcoming projects that people need to know about that you guys are working on?
Well, through COVID, we've do you want to talk?
No,
through COVID, because we couldn't do the face-to-face community events, it actually is good in a way, because it forced us to think, what else can we do? So we've only just launched our CPR friendly webinar, which is available on the website.
Oh, I thought you were going to invite everyone over to our training next week. Anyone from the States who wants to fly to Australia and quarantine for 14 days to get face-to-face training.
They don't have to do that. They can go and watch
this is the great thing about
our CPR friendly webinar. So that's a free webinar. Anyone can watch it anytime. It's basically a setup. So every 15 minutes it runs. And even if people want to run their own event, they can just log in and use the webinar as well. Yeah. Just remembering that the 000 call here is 000, whereas in the States it's 911 is the only difference. But yeah, we tell our story. We play the emergency call and take them through the whole doctor's ABCD, and they can download the worksheet and away they go. We talk about defibrillators, so it's the whole gambit. We even do a CPR rap at the end of the webinar.
Yes, we do. You love that part, don't you? Donnie, you are such a good rapper.
Donnie's a very good singer, Curtis. So yeah. So we're trying to make it fun and engaging for people, and really just trying to spread the word and awareness of CPR.
You guys definitely keep up the good work. Do you have any final thoughts before we close it out?
Oh, look, people ask me what's changed about my life, and I now that I've had a second chance, and I'd probably just say three things. The importance of gratitude in life and just appreciating the small things and the small moments. So every day I'm much more grateful for the little things. Secondly is the importance of family and friends and loved ones and not taking them for granted. And thirdly is, trying to contribute back something and a higher purpose to life beyond just us as individuals, and that's what we're trying to do through CPR Friendly. So those three things I think were key takeaways for me, instead of getting focused in post-traumatic stress and, oh, gee, will this happen again? Gee, do I have to
living
walk
your life on eggshells?
Yeah. We try and look at post-traumatic growth. What have we learnt out of it, and how can we move forward bigger and better than we were before if life throws you the curveball?
And most importantly, just get CPR friendly, get those skills, always have them at top of mind, because you will never know, as was in our case, when you're going to need them. And in 80% of cases, it will be a family member or a friend or a loved one that you will be trying to help and save.
Yeah.
And you can go to cprfriendly.org to get CPR Friendly. Don and Hutch, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks, Curtis. It's a privilege chatting with you today.
And listeners, please be sure to follow, rate, review, share. And also, if you're an Android user, you can go to the Google Play Store and type in Living the Dream with Curveball and download the app where you can have all my episodes right on your phone. For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.